I came home early from a business trip only to find my wife's belongings gone. I'm moving in with someone more successful, she texted me. I didn't reply. I just called my lawyer. 48 hours later, she realized she had left with nothing, and my phone was flooded with desperate calls. I still can't believe I'm even typing this. 3 days ago, my life was normal. Now, I'm sitting in our half-empty bedroom, staring at the vacant closet where my wife's clothes used to be, trying to make sense of everything. It all started when I returned home early from a business trip to Portland. I had managed to finish my work a day ahead of schedule and was excited to surprise Dana. We had been married for 4 years, together for 6. We were both 29 when we got married. Now, I'm 32, and she's 31. The first odd thing I noticed was that her car wasn't in the driveway. It wasn't entirely unusual. She had been going to the gym a lot lately, but something felt off when I stepped inside. You know that feeling when you walk into your home and instantly sense that something isn't right? I called out her name, but the silence felt heavy. Walking into our bedroom, I froze. Her side of the closet was empty, not messy like she was trying on outfits, but completely cleared out. Her jewelry box was gone. Her expensive skincare products had disappeared from the bathroom counter. Even her essential oil diffuser, the one that always made the room smell like a Whole Foods store, was missing. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone to call her. Straight to voicemail. That's when the text came in. I can't do this anymore. I'm moving in with someone more successful, someone who matches my ambitions. My lawyer will contact you about the divorce. I sat on our bed, my bed now, I guess, for what felt like hours, thinking back over the past few months. The signs had been there. I just hadn't wanted to see them. She had started making little remarks about my lack of ambition, constantly comparing our life to her coworker Christian's Instagram posts, his business trips to Dubai, his Tesla, his summer house. I tried to remind her that we were doing fine, building our life at our own pace. But she'd just give me this look, like she was staring at something disappointing. The gym membership at that expensive new place downtown. The sudden interest in luxury lifestyle YouTubers. The way she'd come home late from networking events smelling like expensive cologne. God, I had been so blind. I didn't break down. I didn't trash the place. I didn't drunk dial her family. Instead, I did 3 things. Called my friend Jared, who happens to be a divorce lawyer. Took photos and videos of everything. Sent her one text. Noted. My lawyer will be in touch. Then, I poured myself a glass of whiskey, opened my laptop, and started making lists: bank accounts, credit cards, passwords, our lease, the joint phone plan, everything that needed to be handled. Her mom called around 8 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. Her sister, Kira, texted, asking what happened. I didn't reply. Around midnight, Dana started bombarding me with messages. Apparently, my lack of an emotional meltdown wasn't the reaction she had expected. Jeremy, please talk to me. You're being cold. I deserve better than this silent treatment. Christian says you're being manipulative by not responding. I turned off notifications and kept working. By 3 a.m., I had a clear picture of our finances and a solid to-do list for the next day. The apartment lease is in my name, along with the utilities. But she left her name on all our joint accounts. Rookie mistake. It's strange. I always thought that if something like this happened, I'd fall apart. But instead, I feel this cold, focused clarity, like watching a movie and finally understanding the plot twist that was obvious all along. Tomorrow, I meet with Jared to start the divorce proceedings. I've already packed up the few remaining photos of us, changed the Netflix password, and ordered a new keypad for the front door. The funniest part? She left behind all her important documents: birth certificate, passport, social security card, everything. They're in our fireproof safe, which she apparently forgot about in her rush to her more successful life. I'm sure that's going to be fun for her to deal with. I keep waiting to feel devastated, to break down and cry, to want to beg her to come back. But instead, I just feel ready to handle whatever comes next. I'll update when there are significant developments. Right now, my focus is on protecting myself and handling this the right way. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Feels good to get this all out somewhere. Update. She's now blowing up my phone, demanding her documents. My lawyer says not to respond. Next update will likely come in a few days when things progress further. Final update. First of all, thank you all for the overwhelming support on my last post. This past week has been surreal, and a lot has happened. I promised an update when things developed, so here we go. Remember how I mentioned that Dana left all her important documents behind? Well, that turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. The day after my last post, I met with Jared, my lawyer friend, at his office. While we were going through everything, Dana's sister, Kira, called. I was about to ignore it, but Jared suggested I answer on speaker. Turns out Kira had some interesting things to share. Jeremy, I'm so sorry, she started, her voice shaking. I should have warned you when I noticed the signs. She did the same thing to her ex before you. That got my attention. Dana had told me her previous relationship ended because her ex was emotionally unavailable. But according to Kira, the truth was different. He was just a regular guy working his way up, but Dana dumped him when she met someone with a fancier job title. That relationship lasted 3 months before she found out the guy's success was mostly debt and leased cars. While Kira was talking, my phone buzzed with messages from Dana. I need my birth certificate for a new job. Where did you put my passport? Stop being petty and answer me. Christian says you're legally required to give me my documents. I showed the messages to Jared, who just smiled and shook his head. Legally, I'm required to provide access to her documents, but only through proper legal channels. Since she abandoned the residence without notice, she now has to go through formal procedures to retrieve them. Everything has to go through our lawyers. The next bombshell dropped when Dana's mom called. I actually picked up this time, and she spent 20 minutes apologizing. Apparently, this behavior started in high school, Dana constantly trading up friends based on their parents' wealth or status. Her mom had hoped she'd grown out of it after meeting me since I seemed to ground her. She's living in Christian's downtown apartment now, her mom said, sounding exhausted. The one he always posts about on Instagram? It's a rental. His parents had to co-sign because his credit was too low. I spent the next few days getting my life in order. I changed all my passwords and security questions. I froze our joint credit cards, legally leaving her portion of the accounts accessible. I switched all utilities to my name, changed the locks and door codes, and started documenting everything for the divorce proceedings. Then came the social media storm. Dana had been posting perfectly staged photos in Christian's apartment, all captioned with #blessed and #livingmybestlife. But reality was creeping in through the cracks. She couldn't access her old accounts because they were linked to an email with a forgotten password. She couldn't get her documents for the new job she had lined up. Christian's apartment might look great on Instagram, but according to Kira, most of the furniture is rented for appearances. The real kicker came yesterday. Remember that fancy gym membership? Turns out it was on our joint credit card, which is now frozen. Her Instagram stories quickly shifted from morning workout selfies to long rants about toxic people using money to control others. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so sad. Then I got a text from an unknown number. It was Christian himself. Man, you need to be reasonable here. Just give her the documents and stop being difficult. This is beneath you. I forwarded it to Jared without responding. He's documenting everything for the divorce. Apparently, her leaving without notice and admitting in writing that she moved in with someone else makes this a pretty straightforward case. This morning, I got back from my morning run to find Dana sitting on the front steps. She had been crying, mascara streaked down her face. I walked past her, went inside, and called Jared. He advised me to send one text. All communication must go through legal representatives. Contact information has been provided. She sat out there for 2 hours, alternating between crying and sending angry texts. I kept the security camera recording and went about my day. Finally, she left when her phone battery died. I won't lie. Part of me feels satisfied seeing her so-called perfect exit strategy crumbling. But mostly, I just feel exhausted. Exhausted from the drama. Exhausted from the games. Exhausted from realizing that our entire relationship might have just been her settling while waiting for something better. That night, I ordered takeout, opened a beer, and started packing up the last of her things for when her lawyer eventually contacts me. I found her old journal from when we first started dating. I didn't read it. I just tossed it in the box. Whoever wrote in that journal doesn't exist anymore. If she ever did. Edit. Since many are asking, no, I haven't touched any of her documents. They're exactly where they've always been, safe and secure. Everything will be handled through legal channels. Update. Her lawyer finally reached out. A meeting is scheduled for next week. I'll update again if there's anything worth sharing. Update 2. It's been 2 months since my last update, and wow, what a ride. I've been holding off on posting because I wanted to make sure everything I share is factual and not just an emotional reaction. Also, frankly, I've been busy living my life. The meeting with the lawyers finally happened. It was surreal sitting across from Dana in that conference room, watching her try to maintain her upgraded lifestyle image, all while wearing the same dress I'd seen on her Instagram 3 times that week. Everything was mostly straightforward until she suddenly demanded immediate access to her documents. Her lawyer actually winced when she interrupted him, snapping, "I have a right to my things." He's keeping them hostage. Jared, calm as ever, simply pulled out printed copies of all her social media posts, every one of them flaunting how she had moved up in life and left the past behind. Her own words, combined with her public admissions about moving in with Christian, made things pretty clear-cut. We set up a supervised exchange of belongings for next week. But here's where things get interesting. An unexpected silver lining. Remember that work project I mentioned in my first post? The one that sent me to Portland? Turns out cutting my trip short to deal with this mess ended up being the best career move I could have made. While everyone else was still traveling back, I stepped in and handled a crisis. The higher-ups noticed. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say my focus and performance during all this personal chaos impressed the right people. I got promoted last week. Nothing crazy. I'm not suddenly driving a Tesla or buying a penthouse. Just a solid step up, better benefits, and some actual work-life balance. That gym membership I started just to clear my head? Turns out I actually enjoy it. Down 15 pounds. Finally learned how to do a proper deadlift. My trainer, Marcus, has become a good friend. He's also the one who introduced me to my current girlfriend, Adrian. Yeah, you read that right. I wasn't looking for anything, but sometimes life has other plans. She's a pediatric nurse who loves horror movies and makes terrible puns. We're taking things slow, but it's nice to be with someone who gets excited about small wins and doesn't measure success by Instagram followers. Dana's perfect life. Meanwhile, Dana's dream life isn't looking so perfect anymore. Her sister Kira, who still checks in on me occasionally, filled me in. Christian's amazing career trajectory took a major hit when his company started layoffs. His luxury apartment? 3 months behind on rent. That financed Tesla? Repossessed last week. The fancy restaurants and clubs? All maxed out credit cards. Dana's trying to get a new job, but without access to her documents, it's a struggle. Yes, we're processing everything legally, but these things take time. Every job application requires proof of identity and work eligibility. Her quick fixes keep failing. And her social media? Let's just say it tells an interesting story. The carefully staged photos in expensive restaurants? Gone. Now, she's posting authentic living content about making coffee at home. Her captions have shifted from #blessed to long-winded rants about learning who your true friends are. The turning point. Last Tuesday, Adrian and I were having lunch at this little sandwich shop downtown when Dana walked in with a friend. She froze when she saw us. Then, she spent the next 20 minutes very obviously trying to eavesdrop while pretending to study the menu. I just kept eating my sandwich, telling Adrian about this weird dream I had where my cat learned to talk. Side note, I don't even have a cat. Just a normal, comfortable conversation. Dana finally left without ordering anything. But not before I caught her staring at Adrian's natural, carefree laugh with this look of total confusion. The texts start. That night, the messages started. "I can't believe you moved on so fast. Who even is she? We need to talk about us." I made a mistake. I didn't respond. Just forwarded them to Jared and went back to watching a movie with Adrian. Desperation. This morning, Dana showed up at my workplace. She'd clearly been crying, mascara everywhere, clutching a Starbucks cup like a life preserver. Security didn't let her up, but she waited in the lobby for 2 hours. I took the back exit and went to lunch. Her mom called me later. She's talking about moving back home, she said. Says city life isn't what she expected. Christian's not who she thought he was. I just said, I hope she finds what she's looking for. And ended the call. Moving on. Here's the thing, I don't feel vengeful or bitter anymore. I'm just living. Going to work. Hitting the gym. Enjoying quiet evenings with Adrian. Trying new recipes. Rediscovering old hobbies. My life isn't Instagram perfect, but it's real. And that feels pretty damn good. Update. The document exchange is scheduled for next week. I'll update if anything significant happens, but honestly, this might be my last post. Time to focus on the future. Final update. I wasn't planning to post again, but after what happened at the document exchange yesterday, I need to get this off my chest. Buckle up. Because this is one hell of a finale. The exchange was scheduled for 2 p.m. at Jared's office. I arrived early with a neatly packed box of Dana's remaining belongings and all her documents. Adrian had offered to come for support, but I told her to skip the drama and just meet me for dinner instead. At 2:15, Dana stormed in, without her lawyer. Christian trailed behind her, trying to look important in a wrinkled suit with the rental tags still visible under the collar. Jared immediately called Dana's lawyer, who sounded genuinely confused. I wasn't aware of any meeting today, he said. Red flag number 1. Just give me my stuff, Dana snapped, reaching for the box. Jared smoothly intercepted, reminding her that we needed her lawyer present. And that's when she lost it. You think you're so smart, don't you? She nearly screamed. Playing these little games while I'm trying to rebuild my life. Did you enjoy watching me struggle? Was this your plan all along? I kept my voice even. No plan. Just consequences. Christian puffed up his chest. You're just jealous because she upgraded. Some of us actually have ambition. Without thinking, I shot back, that why your Tesla got repossessed. Probably shouldn't have said that. But hey, I'm human. Dana's face went red. At least he has goals. All you ever cared about was your stupid. She waved a hand dismissively. Boring life. Christian shows me off, takes me places. He's not ashamed to post about our love. How's he paying for those posts now? I asked quietly. Christian lunged forward. Jared's assistant had already called security, and they arrived just as Christian was trying to explain how his temporary cash flow issue wasn't relevant. As security escorted them out, Dana switched tactics. Suddenly, she was crying, mascara running, voice shaking. Jeremy, please. I made a mistake. I miss our life. I miss you. Christian's apartment is being foreclosed. I have nowhere to go. I looked at her. Should have thought about that before moving in with someone more successful, I said, quoting her own text from 3 months ago. She exploded. You heartless bastard. I gave you the best years of my life. I could have had anyone, but I settled for you. I exhaled. That's why I'm letting you go, I said. So, you don't have to settle anymore. Through the glass doors, I watched them argue in the parking lot. Christian was gesturing wildly, his rental suit getting even more wrinkled by the second. Dana kept switching between screaming at him and trying to get back into the building. The aftermath. That evening, the texts started flooding in. You've changed. You're not the man I married. That nurse has ruined you. My mother says you're being cruel. Christian says this is financial abuse. I'm going to tell everyone what you did to me. I forwarded everything to Jared. Then I turned off my phone and went to meet Adrian for dinner. She could tell something was up. But instead of pushing, she just squeezed my hand and started telling me about the ridiculous thing her cat did that morning. The final blow. Around midnight, Kira called. Apparently, Dana and Christian had a massive fight outside his apartment. His credit cards were declined at some fancy restaurant, and Dana had to call their parents for money to get home. His luxury apartment? Being emptied by creditors. All that designer furniture she loved? Repossessed. She's moving back in with mom and dad. Oh, and Christian's ex-wife reached out to Kira. Turns out he has a pattern dating women while separated but not actually divorced. Dana didn't even know he was still legally married. The last message. This morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and a novel's worth of texts. Dana had gone full social media meltdown. She posted screenshots of our old conversations, photos from our wedding, long rants about toxic positivity and emotional manipulation. Her mom finally took her phone away. Jared called an hour ago. The divorce papers are ready. Given Dana's documented abandonment and her public behavior, it's all pretty straightforward. I'll likely keep the apartment and most of our joint assets. Her documents will be transferred through legal channels next week. No regrets. You know what's funny? 3 months ago, this would have destroyed me. Now, I'm just relieved it's ending. Last night, lying in bed, Adrian asked me if I regret any of it. Just one thing, I told her. I regret not valuing myself enough to see the red flags sooner. She kissed my forehead and smiled. Well, at least you're seeing in color now. And that's really it, isn't it? I'm seeing everything more clearly. Life isn't about Instagram posts or status symbols. It's about genuine connections, self-respect, and being real with yourself and with others. Adrian and I are talking about getting a place together once the divorce is final. Something modest. But ours. She wants to get a cat. I'm thinking maybe 2. They can keep each other company when we're not home.